soon find out. Some are terrified, but most just keep moving forward.
Those two villages were the last bastions of the M23 before its fighters were chased out by Congolese and United Nations.
Thousands of people have fled as fighting between the Congolese army and M23 rebels continued in the territory of Nyiragongo near Goma, the capital of North Kivu. Emptying their homes, they've taken off in the direction of Rugari in the north or Kibati south of Goma. On Sunday, the United Nations denounced a deliberate M23 attack on peacekeepers and the armed forces, who they said responded in accordance with their mandate. This man said, "We are displaced. We are fleeing the clashes that took place today. Following this situation, we are afraid. That is why we are going to Kibati near Goma." This woman said, "I would like to tell our president that we are tired of war. We ask that he looks to save us from this suffering." Local authorities believe that this latest attack in the village of Bahamba was the work of M23 rebels who came from the border with Rwanda. It's thought they want to occupy the strategic region, which is close to the city of Goma. According to this member of local civil society, they can confirm without fear of being contradicted that it is Rwanda that is supporting the M23 for the moment, because the M23 has been defeated. On Monday, the Rwandan army accused the Congolese forces of having launched bombs into its territory and requested an investigation. The spokesman for the governor of North Kivu has denounced it as a dramatization of the situation by the Rwandan armed forces.
Hundreds of people hit the streets of the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital and the eastern city of Bukavu Wednesday. They marched against Rwanda's alleged meddling in the country's affairs. Relations between the neighbors have long been tense. They reached a new low, with the DRC accusing Rwanda of backing a rebel group. This protest is an expression of the Congolese population's feelings of outrage and anger in the face of our neighbors' attitude, namely Rwanda's hostile attitude. It's not the first time they've behaved that way. We were here in the morning, here we are at night, and we will stay here until we get what we want from our president. How to say, we want him to act in retaliation of what is happening in the east of the country. Fighting in the east between the Congolese army and the M23 rebels resumed in March, forcing at least 72,000 residents out of their homes. If the DRC summoned the Rwandan ambassador last week, protesters want him expelled. We came out here in large numbers at the Rwandan embassy in Kinshasa to ask the Congolese government to expel Rwanda's envoy, Vincent Karega. He embodies the presence of Rwanda here in Congo, and it is inconceivable that the ambassador of a country our government has called aggressive may remain in office in Kinshasa. DRC's government suspended flights from Rwanda's national carrier as part of the diplomatic spat. In a bid to defuse the tensions, AU mediator, the president of Angola, discussed with the heads of state of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. They will meet in the future summit.
Outside a church, under the open sky, villagers in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo find the only shelter they hope will keep them safe from the bullets and the bloodshed.
The attack began in Nyesisi, Ngogo and Kanombe. When we were in the field on Wednesday, we heard bullets over the hills and we fled, abandoned everything, and now we are here in Kibumba. We spend the night in the church while others sleep outside. We have nothing to eat, no food, no water or medicine.
At least 2,000 people abandoned their homes this week to escape fighting between the army and the M23, an armed group that rebelled against the government in 2012.
We saw several dead people. I lost my children and my husband in the chaos, and I've been left with nothing.
In Nyesisi, one of the 6 villages caught in the crossfire, farms lie untended. Homes are empty and not a soul to be seen. Back at the church in Kibumba, people from other villages tell how they too were caught in the violence.
I was at home when I saw soldiers shooting bullets in the hills and other bullets coming from the other side.
Since November, M23 fighters have been accused of several attacks on the army, the latest on Tuesday. UN peacekeepers are on the ground, but for these families, it may be too soon to return. Priyanka Gupta, Al Jazeera.
The United Nations has accused M23 rebels of deliberately attacking peacekeepers in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, where fighting between the rebels and the Congolese army resumed Thursday last week. The special representative of the UN Secretary General in the DRC, Bintou Keita, on Sunday made the allegation and condemned the attacks by the M23 against the Congolese armed forces and against MONUSCO. According to a UN statement, after attacking Congolese army positions, M23 rebels deliberately targeted MONUSCO peacekeepers in the area. The M23 is a former Tutsi rebellion that was defeated in 2013 by the DRC's armed forces. They re-emerged late last year, blaming Kinshasa authorities for not respecting commitments to demobilize its fighters.
Day breaks, it's time to fight. A volley of rockets fired at the M23 rebels boosts morale. But the Congolese soldiers have a long way to go. The rebel fighters still hold a 20-kilometre stretch of road surrounded by hills and bush. At the end lies the last rebel stronghold, the town of Bunagana. It's on the border with Uganda.
I'm just cleaning my gun because I want to go and fight M23. M23 are not strong. Our mission is to chase them over the border. Thank you.
They don't know what resistance they'll find on the way. But they soon find out. Some are terrified, but most just keep moving forward. Between firefights, they're well received in the villages. Beatrice Nyirabashimbo thinks things are about to get better.
If the government takes back Bunagana, then all of our relatives who are refugees in Rwanda and Uganda can come back. Under M23, it was very tough.
It's time to resupply. The confidence grows. Then another gun battle. Again, the rebels flee. They were trying to defend this bridge. Then they tried to burn it to stop tanks from passing. But the strategy fails. The advance gathers momentum. On the outskirts of the town, there's just a handful of rebels left. They're seen off by a blast of heavy machine gun fire from the soldiers.
Finally, they've reached Bunagana. The town's completely deserted. All the civilians have fled. And there's been a bit of fighting. You can still hear some gunfire just in the hills. But the commander here says it's over. They've taken the last rebel stronghold. Doesn't mean that the rebels can't hide in the hills and still cause more trouble. But this was the last town that they had control of.
Minutes later, the street is flooded with delighted residents. The rebels weren't popular here. People say they stole, killed and raped. And after more than a year of living under their rule, there's a sense of relief and celebration. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Bunagana in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This Congolese government convoy of heavy weaponry might seem like no match for a lightly armed rebel group. But the ADF rebels are elusive, their tactics cunning. The government troops never know when they'll be caught in an ambush. This unit's deploying to attack a rebel base. They stop to look for a firing position. People here have lived under armed groups for decades. Now the army's here, they attract a crowd.
Before, we suffered a lot. Sometimes it was not safe to farm in our fields. But now the big force from government has come down to chase the rebels. We are very happy.
But it won't be easy. There's thick bush for miles, but a clearer view if you can get high up.
From the top of the tree, he can see the target. He can see the direction for bombing. From up there, you can see a hill. The enemy is beyond that hill on the plain.
The ADF are hiding in a vast expanse of bush and forest. One of their main bases is within range. They've been in eastern Congo for 10 years. They're from neighbouring Uganda, but the government there defeated them. They've been in Congo ever since. Now, the army says their time is up.
This rocket launcher is now in position. The soldiers are preparing it to fire onto the ADF rebels. Meanwhile, the commanders here are studying a map, trying to work out the exact location of the rebels so that they can calculate what direction and what angle the rockets have to be fired at to hit their target.
They make final adjustments, and the onslaught begins. But the first volley misses the target. The spotter, hidden near the rebel base, has radioed in directions. They check the map and adjust their aim. It's deafeningly loud. These men are used to it. They tell us not to block our ears. If you do, they say the pressure waves will make your nose bleed. But that's nothing compared to the destruction on the other end. The rebels are facing formidable force, but they have a thick jungle in their favour. After decades on the run, everyone's waiting to see if they'll finally be reined in. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Kokola in the Democratic Republic of Congo.